Time to get the real Kyper and Bourne show going. We are live on Sportsnet 590, Sportsnet 360, and Sportsnet Plus from 4 to 6 p.m. You can always download us wherever you get your pod. And remember, all week, text us at 590-590. It's Nick Kypreos. It's Justin Bourne. It's Derek Brandeo. It's Jen Rolnick. And it's the Wayne Newton of our show, back, Sammy McKee.
Hey, boys.
Wearing the Vegas Golden Knights hat, no less.
Are you allowed on a Maple Leaf hour to wear Vegas Golden Knights?
I am, this mic's really high. Didn't really get to look at it here. I will say that I am a bit of a convert to the Golden Knights. I was able to take in the game on Saturday night.
You past the Leafs and on to the Knights now?
I would love to be. I got to tell you, the whole
That's the
experience.
best answer of all. Can't be.
That I wish fully that I could just absolve the Leafs and just be a Knights guy from now on, but it doesn't work like that.
You went down the Strip, you went to the Sphere. I don't care about that. I want to hear what you thought about going to a hockey game in Vegas.
I can't say enough great things. I really can't. From the pregame show, which is just the most absurd thing ever.
Yeah.
It's like a knight and he's like breathing fire and it was insane. And then just the game ops in general and just how they keep people interested, the passion of the fans. And I will say that, we were there with a few people from Allie's work, shout out Justin, shout out the boys. And they're talking about it, how there's no scars there.
Yeah, that's nice.
Right? Where it's like you go to a Leaf game here and you're like, oh, everybody's just expecting bad things to happen.
Yeah.
And you go there and they've been a team for 7 years? They've been to the final twice. They've won the cup. They're in the conference final every single year. We had an Uber driver that found out we were from Toronto, and he's like, he's like, oh, I love hockey. He's like, oh, we had to wait so long for that cup. And I looked down and was like, buddy, my dad was 10. Okay. Can you save it? And he's like, if it wasn't for that flurry, we would have won it. I'm like, what the hell is going on? So all in all, an incredible experience. But yeah, I wish I could be a Knights guy through and through. They're my new team, my second team. Go Knights, go.
It's not as satisfying without having to go through. When Frodo finally got to Mordor and got through, he got rid of the ring. It would not have been as fun had he not had to go through the marshes and all the misery. You got to go through something to really appreciate it.
And they're down 2-0 going to the third period against the Penguins. They weren't playing very well. And, they're just championship pedigree. They come out in the third period, light them up, score 3, win the game.
Lit up a Dubas team in the third period.
Pat Brasson's kid scored the winner. Yeah, which is hilarious.
That's a great story.
Well, because he's
one of the
Sid's
top
agent.
agents.
Yeah, and he's Sid's agent.
And Sid used to babysit Brendan when they were kids. Not a joke.
Yeah.
So they go way back.
Yeah.
And Sid gave him a stick after the game, I guess. And sounds great.
And he was a beautiful goal. But yeah, Vegas is just a different world. It's a different world. I've never experienced anything like it. So there you go, boys. There's the breakdown.
Hellhole. It's a dystopia, but it's fun for a weekend.
I'll tell you right now, I would not want to be there 1 minute longer. I
no one
couldn't have been
leaving
happier.
Vegas is going, wish I had more time.
No, that's for sure.
Well, despite how successful our show was Friday, we're glad you're back.
I know.
We're glad you're back.
Buddy, I got so many messages. Disco Dan coming for you. I came in on Monday. Kipper's like, your lineup's crap. I'm dead. I take off 1 day, 2 days all year, and they bring in the A squad, and now I'm screwed.
Yeah.
He says the first thing he says on our show this week is my mic's high, and I'm like, that's where Dan set the bar, bud. Your mic's high because that's where Disco put the bar for you.
Yeah, I saw my boy. I'm happy for him. Good job. Thanks a lot, Daniele.
Okay,
Let's move on.
From afar, I think you stayed on top of at least knowing what's going on in Leafland, because we're here to kind of break it down before we do on the things that we liked and didn't like over the weekend. Let's start with you, JB, first on the overall feel of coming home off a Seattle win with basically a win one, lose one feel. Is that okay? Is that enough to suggest that people shouldn't be ready to judge this team today for the rest of the season? Is it still wide open based on what you saw this weekend?
You look at this Leafs team, and I think I've said on this show that I think they're probably somewhere between the 6th and 11th best team in the league. people listening might think they're higher. People listening might think they're lower, but they're not. They're kind of a middling to good middling team. They go on this road trip. They beat Seattle, who absolutely stinks. That team is, and they're missing Yanni Gourde, whatever, terrible team who they beat. Great. They lost to Vancouver, who's unbelievable. So you expect them to lose to the best team in the NHL. They beat Calgary. They're okay. And the Oilers were unbelievable.
So in a nutshell, they can beat the teams that are out of the playoffs, but they can't beat the teams that are in the playoffs.
Well, I'll say they can beat the teams that are out of the playoffs. They can't beat the teams that look like legit cup contenders. Because, I mean, the Oilers and Canucks are not teams that are squeaking in the playoffs.
And end of Leafs hour.
That's like where they're at for me. So my point is, I'm not sitting here today feeling different than I did when I talked to you last.
I think last night put a better taste in my mouth for sure. I think Seattle was pretty bad for a lot of that game, but I think it was a pretty disciplined effort from the Leafs. I thought they played well. They had the puck a lot.
Yeah.
Thought they did well there. But that Saturday game was they good on them for battling back, but the goals that are going in, Brody and Riley, front row seats for everything. It's just like, oh my God. That's a wake-up call.
Yeah, two totally different hockey games.
See, they're coming home. They go from playing one of the worst teams in the league in Seattle, and I get it.
I know they won 9 straight.
The guys that aren't there, and they are a better team than
they've lost 4 straight now.
They've shown, but last night they might as well been one of the worst teams in the league, right?
So I forget, it was Yanni Gourde they're missing and
Vince Dunn,
who basically there's your two.
And there is a flu going through them that's wiped out a lot of them on the energy, and it's real. And I'm not using it as an excuse. It's just real fact that when you get hit hard, it's going to affect your hockey club. But they are coming home on a basic split, and to your point, if they are 6th to 11th. It is a possibility for a team to win the Stanley Cup from 6th to 11th.
Yes.
But there's also so much evidence to suggest that they won't still coming home.
Right.
So where are we going into the All-Star break for this team?
We are that they got a couple of really big hockey games coming up against a very good Winnipeg Jets team. Like, I feel like every game it's like, well, next game we'll get more answers. We got, what's his name there? John Tavares, 8 games without a point now. Bertuzzi's
That's longest of his career, I think.
It is.
Longest point streak.
6 goals through 46 games for Bertuzzi. You're looking for these depth guys, someone to help out, and Nick Robertson's shooting it in the net. That's good. But, you're just waiting for more than what we thought they were, which was a top-heavy team.
It was harder for Bertuzzi to shoot it at the goalie's chest than it was to score on that chance in Vancouver. There was more open net.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
Anyways.
Where are you on using 2 Winnipeg Jet games this coming week before going into All-Star break to truly deciding that this team should go for it or not?
It's a good question, but I mean, there's a lot of games before the deadline, so I don't think these 2 games are end-all, be-all, but I think it's pretty telling. I mean, if you get starched in both of these games, I think it's pretty clear to the 6 to 11 conversation. You can talk about maybe even a little lower than that. Like, they're in there, but I mean, you know what we've talked about this team, they go in there, they win one of these games, they get 3 points out of these games, everybody be feeling great. So it really does feel like it's a game-to-game basis on how to feel about them. Yeah. Like, I don't remember it being so up and down, the feelings. Like, I know, they're way more inconsistent this year than in years past in terms of the feeling about them.
I see such a fork in the road right now. And I listen, there's nobody that follows the Leafs closer than us. There's maybe a few that are right there with us, but I can honestly tell you, I don't know. I don't know whether or not this team should be a buyer or a seller at this point.
Well, it feels to me like you can't. I understand the point, from a neutral or whatever, but it feels to me like you can't tell Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Tavares, Riley that we're just going to punt a year. So even if you don't go all in, I feel like there's no way you can sell guys.
I think it's a light buy. As opposed to my wife in Vegas this weekend, it's a light buy. It's a little, add a depth guy.
Yeah.
That maybe you can mix in on defense.
tuned for
at a
Walker,
winger. Yeah, like
Sean Walker.
a winger to play maybe a defensive guy. Like I don't think you're.
And then you
trading a
roll the
first.
dice with basically the lineup that
You
you
hope
have.
Wool gets hot. You hope your superstars finally have a playoffs that blows people out of the water.
But wouldn't this be like this?
Oh,
would
yeah,
be
that's the way it would work. They'd be unbelievable or something.
the thing to me is that it would be you go into the playoffs. You're the 8th seed, the 7th seed. No one's expecting anything.
You're Florida last year.
Yeah, but they're not. But the thing is, they're not Florida.
But in theory,
In
you're
theory,
Florida.
you get hot at the right time. You catch somebody off guard, and then you get going. Like
Yeah.
I feel like they're the least predictable
You put
they've ever been.
You put $1 in the slot machine, you pull it, and then it rains
You
money.
might win $800.
Right?
Definitely did not do that when I did it.
Yeah.
Didn't work. It was
Okay.
over pretty quick.
Let's get some thoughts on Saturday night's game because I have a few of my own on Saturday night. But let's go to Sheldon Keefe for our first Kippers Clipper on what his overall thought was with the 6-4 loss to the Vancouver Canucks.
Well, I thought our first 2 shifts were good. I thought we had good life and good energy on those first 2 shifts. Even the third shift, which was where we got scored on, started while we were on their half of the ice, playing in their zone, and then 3 or 4 times we don't get the puck out or don't make a play with the puck, I should say. We give it back to them. Jonesy has a chance to freeze the puck and end everything for us, and it gets away on them. Now we're just defending tired, and they outcompeted us at our net. And I thought that was a bit of a theme, for the game with their goals, just them outcompeting us in around our net.
We should double dip on clips and just play your audio from last night showing the Nyes penalty, or bad shift to start the game. Kip's point was just that Vancouver had some good ozone changes, keeping fresh bodies on the ice. Mikheyev comes off for Höglander, who ends up scoring the goal. Meanwhile, Leafs guys out there for Nyes was 2:04 when the puck went in.
Late in the second period.
2:04.
Yeah, 2:04. And I'm with Sheldon that you could spot different plays or shifts or lapses, but I still thought the Leafs could have won the game.
Mm-hmm. Against Vancouver,
It was a winnable game.
Yeah.
You just didn't find a way to get it done, but
dumb penalties and let it get away from
again,
you.
yes.
Bad penalty kill.
Number one, just a better goalie Saturday night. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I thought he
Sometimes
was
it is that simple.
horrific. I didn't like all but maybe one goal.
Yeah.
And Demko didn't have a great game, led by 3 goals in 7 minutes.
Yeah.
But he still made the saves that he had to.
He was really good when the chips were down.
Yes.
Like at 6-4, he was unbelievable.
But better goaltending could have left the game at least a lot more open-ended on a Leaf win. But, I mean, you can pick and choose a number of things that you didn't like outside of bad goaltending.
It's funny because we sit here today and it's like Ilya Samsonov has been redeemed. He had this unbelievable game. He made 16 saves against Seattle, but some 10 bell saves. And Martin Jones is going the wrong direction, and it's all too much. And you look at, they gave him the Vancouver Canucks, and they gave Samsonov, a flu-ridden Seattle team minus their best players. It was set up for Samsonov to find his way back, and that's good. Sitting here today, I think a lot of us would say, and maybe we will, that Samsonov should probably get the next game. But he definitely got handed the better cards this weekend among goalies.
We've been talking about the worm turning with Martin Jones here for a while.
Yeah. It wasn't just one game. That's true with Jones.
It's been kind of trending in this direction for
3
a
or
while.
4 goals now for the last little while.
Like and we said this from day one, that it's like, you can lean on this for a little bit and he's going to have the best numbers in the league for 10 games or whatever, but this is going to turn. He's Martin Jones. There's a track record there. He's getting older, and it's starting to turn.
But there's a lot of those guys.
I'm not taking away from what he gave them.
No.
Like, he gave them a massive stretch of hockey against some bad teams that they needed.
They're out there. They're good enough to be in the league, and they're good enough to look great in short spurts, but they're not number one goalies.
No, if he...
Right? Reimer.
Yeah.
Ranta.
Yeah.
Like, there's a number of them that you can say will always be able to, but it's not sustainable.
This is the thing with a lot of call-up guys. They give you their best for a short stretch, but there's a reason they can't be in every night. Yeah. Jones's last 5 games, he's given up 4, 5, 4, 4, 6.
Let's go to Sheldon Keefe on Martin Jones.
How would you assess where Jones's game is at?
I think Jonesy's been fine. We got to do a better job in front of him.
Yay.
Okay.
I like that. I like that he's just like, no further questions,
Yeah.
Your Honor.
Well, Rick Tocchet, in between periods, tells his players, hey, try the back door on the power play.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Yeah.
2 goals.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, not his best.
Yeah, that to me is if the Leafs were, we're talking about light additions to this team, the penalty kill is somewhere where you should try to add some guys that can do that.
Yeah. Giordano is probably past his best before date on the top PK unit. And I know you probably feel that same way, but Jake McCabe, been better for them, and the PK should probably take on those minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Simone Benoit can probably handle some of that. Liljegren's not a natural PK guy to me either. So, do you want to hear about the PK? Do we want to hear Coach on it?
Not really.
Okay, I don't either. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I mean, just win a couple more face-offs, and you'll be a lot better.
Peachy Keen.
Yeah.
One thing that I thought kind of got underplayed Saturday night, which bothered me, was the Tyler Myers swing at John Tavares that almost decapitated him.
I mean, that's as vicious a throw as you can throw at a guy who's not in a fight with you.
That was a widowmaker.
Yeah.
That was a bomb.
100%.
The thing that bothered me the most about it is the little noise that followed it.
When was it in the game? Was it not at the end of the game?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was. And I'm just saying to myself, what if that was Sid Crosby? What if it was Connor McDavid? Like, where would we have been on, like, that topic?
Mm-hmm.
Where would we have been?
You mean
how would
media-wise or team-wise?
Yeah, media-wise.
Yeah.
Everybody. Players, media, fans.
Like, you thought that was a pretty bad
I thought it was just like I thought it was like a really bad attempt to hurt the captain of your hockey club.
Yeah, if you can't picture it, he was kind of tied up with someone else. Tavares came in to help him out, and Myers hauled off and swung at his face. And as Tavares is coming in, and it glances off the side of his forehead.
So where would we have been on a topic of conversation on that particular play if he swung at Austin Matthews? How would you have felt about it?
I don't think I would feel any different in that in those scrums, people throw punches, and it's hard to like penalize a guy for, attempted murder
it's not
in
the
this
penalties.
case.
It's like you just can't let that go. To me, just the mere fact that because it's Tavares and because we've painted a picture about Tavares that he doesn't get the same respect on other players. But yeah, I get it. He's not Connor McDavid.
Mm-hmm.
I get that he's not Sidney Crosby, but he's also the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs, where because he wears the C on the jersey today, and it's not about whether he deserves it or doesn't deserve it, or it's just not. It's a bad look to me.
So, genuinely asking, do you think that like in the newspaper, on sports talk radio, whatever, it should be like, how is this punch allowed to be thrown?
Yeah.
Or do you think it's that the team should have decapitated Myers?
No, well, listen, I mean, there's different ways that you can turn around and answer anything out in the ice, and that's for the players to determine that, not me sitting in front of a mic today. But I think it's another example of teams feeling like they can take more liberties to the Leafs and perhaps feel like there's no consequences. And I'm not, listen, if you want to bring it back to where's the sandpaper, where's the snot, are they soft?
Yeah.
I think Myers takes a run at a soft team by going and almost breaking your captain's face.
He was running around the whole night, too.
Yarn
Croc to the bench,
That's
cross-check Riley.
To me,
is this tied to Ryan Reeves at all? Ryan Reeves is Luke Fox had a great article.
Yeah,
he's available. He says he's healthy. He's on IR. He doesn't know why he's on IR.
It's not to say that I'm not here to say Ryan Reeves should have been in the lineup. I'm just saying that you haven't solved your problem of teams feeling like they could take a swing like that at a captain and feel like there's
fix that for you.
no repercussions. That's all. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm a little oversensitive to it, and it's not that big of a deal.
No, it was a bad.
But I
think
think it's a big deal.
And well, I mean, to Tavares' credit, and I think the fact that it didn't connect is obviously why it wasn't a bigger brouhaha, but it was part of a scrap that was already happening. Like he's the third man in, he's going in there to support his guy.
He's only going in there because Morgan went in there.
Yeah.
And I let's give
Credit
John
to both those guys who were physically involved and engaged.
Morgan took another cheap shot in front of the net, and
Morgan's been so good this year.
He is no problem, going and confronting Myers, which
Both games
you
this
should.
Weekend, he was feisty,
which you should, but somehow it just doesn't get the energy up on a hockey club or a pulse up like it should. That's all.
Yeah, I thought that game had good, jawing, a lot of energy, a lot of back and forth. So yeah.
Well, that's what happens when the Leafs go out there. The games are always great.
By the way, the Leafs had 3 great games where the Oilers are like rivalry night and the Canucks are like rivalry night. And I know going into Winnipeg this week, it's going to be like, going back to Jason Spezza and Neil Pionk. It's rivalry time again. It's like
wonder why that
every
is.
night for the Leafs in Canada. Rivalry night.
Hey,
Do you want to
every team plays like it's their game 7 against the Leafs. That's why they,
do you want to go to Samsonov, or you want to stay on Tavares' slump a little bit here? How concerned are you that this is just time of the year where he happens to have one of the worst slumps of his career, and he will get back on course to being a solid second-line guy producing? Or is this more?
Well, it's definitely more to me. Like, I don't think this is just super unlucky. I had some stats on the broadcast last night about Tavares' last 8 games, his fall off statistically. It's underlying numbers too. It's cycle chances, it's slot chances, it's shot attempts, all that stuff. So I think some of it is real. Just don't really know what to do about it, boss. Like put him on the wing and have Nylander as center seems to be the only suggestion.
I threw out on the telecast putting him with Marner and Matthews.
I like the idea of putting him with Matthews, say, and having Marner and Nylander as the wings on a line that can be dynamic
or
together.
Or a center on the second line.
Who's that?
Nylander or Marner. They're both natural centermen.
So play those two together and give them someone else. I like that too. I like giving Tavares an option like that.
And who moves in with Tavares, Matthews, and Yarncroc? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm not saying that, but that's probably the best answer. But the problem is you don't want to use your best guy because you need him on 3 lines. So maybe Domi?
Yarncroc is Kerfoot. We're having the same conversation.
Yarncroc is the 5th best forward by a mile this year. No, he's the 4th best forward this year.
Okay, Yarncroc's swung me.
10 goals this year on every line. PK works hard.
That's not what I noticed. I noticed he's getting his nose dirty a lot more. He's a lot feistier.
He's maybe the best deal on the team.
Yeah,
he's been really effective for them.
I tip my hat to Yarncroc's season.
Yeah, he's been good.
So Matthews is a goal a game guy. He's going to want to see
JT?
Marner disappear. Like all Marner does is just feed him.
Yeah, but I mean, you and I can go in circles on this, but like, I don't care if he wants that. I don't. I want to have the best hockey team I can have. The best team. We've given him 4 more years of contract. Please help our hockey team win. Don't care about who you want to play with.
So how long does Tavares get on a second line before you got to do something?
I don't know. Remind me to get to that.
8 games at a point playing with Willie.
Yeah.
It's probably getting to that conversation time.
The one thing I do think is Tyler Bertuzzi is your best bet at salvaging a 5th forward who's really can be good, who can really be effective for you.
But he can't put a puck in an ocean,
which is where I'm going with this. I think Tavares, you'd be justified in saying we're going to give Bertuzzi some net front time on PP1. I know that sucks for JT. It's a hockey club, though. We're trying to get this guy going. Let Bertuzzi get some touches, get a goal, get some good juice going, get a little mojo, because you're right. He can't shoot it in from a foot away. This guy has played with the best players on the team all year. Can't score.
All right, let's go to Sheldon Keefe, clip 10 on Tavares' slump.
Yeah, no doubt it's going to come for him. But more importantly to me than whatever the goals and assists and points might be, because the production will come. John hasn't cheated for 1 second. He's not concerned about it. John is at a point in his career as our captain and as a leader on our team where he knows what's important. He needs to play the right way. He needs to take care of the puck. He needs to have good habits and details. And for a guy that hasn't had the production and is getting questions about it and all these kinds of things, to just stay with it, not cheat the system, not extend his shifts, but to do all the details. I think that allows us to be in a position, I think, to win a game 2-1 like we did tonight. So, yeah, I do think the results are going to come. But more importantly to me is that John's setting a great example for our team that it doesn't matter what his individual stats say. While he's fighting through it, he's not going to cheat the team or the system.
Well, that's not a coach about to take away any ice time. That's for sure.
I don't know. You don't
Is
hear
that
a
over the
coach
top?
coaching? You don't hear a coach coaching a guy? I hear all coaching. You ever hear anyone in Boston talk about Patrice Bergeron like that during the game? Go, yeah, well, we know he's going to not take long shifts out there, right?
He definitely, I mean, it's hard to be really bad against that Seattle team last night, but he was definitely better last night. Had the puck around him more. Thought he had some few chances. Kind of forcing it a bit, I thought, trying to find one because he was missing or whatever. But
this is the thing with like them beating teams that are a bit lower. Like those guys look great against 18th place teams.
That clip was eye opening to me. That he went out of, and I feel the exact same way about you do, Bonnie. How long he spoke.
He's talking to him.
Yeah, he's not talking to us.
No.
He's not talking to the fans.
Nope.
Who's he talking to in that clip?
Him.
John.
Yeah.
Saying, you're not going to cheat the game for us. You're going to stay with it. You're going to whatever. Like, it feels like you're
That was
coaching
a
your
laundry
captain.
list of things that,
But, I mean, kind of like there has been a bit of cheating, I'd say.
Well, I think maybe he's aware that it's starting to happen. He's going,
Listen,
one thing we know is he's not going to start doing that.
All goal scorers cheat.
Yeah, he's cheating.
Right?
Right?
It's just about how close can you make it to look like you're not?
And the more goals you get, the more you're allowed to cheat. When you're not getting any goals, the coach starts to say, we know he's not going to cheat.
Robertson?
Yeah, let's talk about Nick Robertson because here's another one. Here's another Kyper's Clipper where I think Sheldon's hoping that Nick Robertson can hear.
I thought Nick was excellent tonight. That's what I was hopeful for with both he and Timmins coming in. This has been not just a long trip, but it's been a tough stretch of games here for us for the last while. So it's important to get some fresh legs and energy in here today. And with Nick in particular, you know he's going to give you everything he has. And at a time when we haven't used him on the trip, that he's going to have more in the tank than anyone else. And with it being so tight a game, it was a little harder to get him out on the ice, and his minutes probably reflected that. But I loved every second that he played on the ice. He did a tremendous job, not just because he scored the goal, but how he worked and how he managed the game and managed the puck.
Okay, so the sense out there as of a few hockey clubs that I've spoken to is that Brad Treliving is not interested in giving up a first-round pick or the two kids in junior or Matthew Nyes. So what are you left with at the trade deadline? Would Nick Robertson be one of them?
I would imagine so.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do they have for picks? So they've got a third, fourth. Yeah, they got some late round picks this year. Altered late round picks.
So how do you
trade him right now? Best game of the year.
If you sort the Leafs team by goals for per game, he's fifth. It's the 4 stars than Nick Robertson.
Yeah. I don't know what you could get by himself, but you could package him with something to get some help on the blue line. But it won't be Chris Tanev.
Right. The Flames aren't like Nick Robertson's going to fix our problem.
It won't be a Chychrun or a Hanifin.
Can it be no-name brand Hanifin? I don't know who that is.
I don't know who
Can you
that
find me
is.
some discount version of one of these guys? Sealer, Walker.
There's a possibility if Nick can continue to show that he can score. Like, what's he got now? Under 10 minutes?
Yeah, under 10 minutes last night. He's got 7 goals in 27 games.
I think that's one more than Tyler Bertuzzi.
So you assume that there's 31 teams that can say, So I don't know what Nick is, and I don't know if he's going to help me win in the playoffs, but can he score 15 or 20 goals for me next year?
Yes, he can
to
do
help
it this
me
year.
get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Just help me get in there.
If I'm the Flyers, he's the perfect guy.
Yeah.
Right? Where it's like
you're a flyer on him.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're already overachieving. If you want to give up one of those guys that you mentioned with Sealer or Walker or whatever, you just added Drysdale. You're looking for more guys that you can build around. You take a shot on him, he clicks with the right guy. Like
for me, Blackhawks too. It's like or the Sharks. You know, it's like
he doesn't play in the top 6 here, so I think that's a big reason.
I think, yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I think it's a given that it's a Robertson and another player. Is it? Can you sell Robertson and Steves, who's in the minors, right? He's been up a couple of times. He's not a regular on the Leafs right now. Or, Holmberg now has drawn a lot of attention.
Mm-hmm.
And where are you with
Chip?
With Pontus? Like, he's hot too.
Yeah.
As far as true value on a guy who's got another year on his contract next year at $800,000, he's a lot more attractive than he was 4 weeks ago.
100%. There's an interesting thing in the NHL where, so to me, Nick Robertson, and I feel kind of like this about Max Domi, but we'll pretend I didn't say that. I feel like he's probably not going to play in your top 6 as an offensive guy. Like if you're a Stanley Cup contender, you don't see him on Colorado who's winning a cup, or Vegas who's winning a cup, or Tampa Bay who's winning a cup. You can't picture him on any of those teams. But he can score in this league. If you played him 82 games, I am confident he'll score you 25 goals. You could do it next year. But to me, it's not in the top 6 on a good team. So it is going to be some 24th. It's still the NHL, and you still need goals. So he could have value to a team that's trying to get some offense.
I agree with that.
Trying to climb the standings, get it in contention, see if you can get close enough for things to go right.
Yeah.
He can help someone.
Now, how do you feel that the Leafs may not pick this year to go after a frontline defense who's available on defense, the biggest names on defense? You think Leaf fans right now are expecting Tree Living to go out there and do that?
I don't think this is a particularly loved version of the Toronto Maple Leafs, if I'll be totally honest with you. I think a lot of people would be pretty understanding of not going all in. Like, I just, you can only get the cupboard so bare, fellas. At some point here, you can make some trades around the fringes, but is Tanev going to make you a cup contender? Like, with your questions in net and everything else that we've talked about, I don't think that Leaf fans are expecting them to go all in. I really don't.
What's funny about this
I'm a
team,
Knights fan now, so I don't really talk to as many Leaf fans. So
it's not, there is a way, because of the elite talent on this team, there's a way you can see it break right that they are a cup contender. That Joe Walcomb's back and he's healthy and he's as good as he was before he was hurt. So now you've got a very good goalie. Mm-hmm. And you trade for 1 or 2 D, and that patches your holes. McCabe's been way better for me. He's a valuable guy. Morgan's being awesome. Another good D or 2. And then you've got your elite scorers. Like, I can do it. I can get there in my head where this is a legitimate cup contender. It just takes everything going right.
Yeah.
So how much do you want to bet on rolling the dice, double sixes 10 times in a row or whatever the math is?
And a couple of their guys that are underperforming I wouldn't know if Domi's really underperforming, but Bertuzzi's way underperforming. But I think he's one of those
Domi
guys.
Has 4 goals in 45 games.
Yeah, but I don't know. I've just gotten more of what I expected out of Domi, I guess. Bertuzzi was so good in the playoffs last year. Mm-hmm. So maybe once it flips, he turns it on. Domi's been a good playoff guy. Maybe it's a different type of team, or maybe they stink.
Maybe
I don't know.
You come to the conclusion that if Bertuzzi's going to be this player, he's not doing it with us. He's not. Can I move him? At the end of the day, Holmberg's giving me more than Bertuzzi anyways. Slide him in there for $800,000 next year.
Yeah.
It's just not for me.
The thing
is there value in Bertuzzi still that a team can go,
yes,
he's not doing it for you, but I saw what he did in Boston, and I'm gladly take a second rounder for him.
It's just problem is you need a guy this year. You need a left winger that,
You're way too thin without him. Yeah. And I know it's crazy to say thin, but he occupies a spot on the left side.
You just need a guy who can be good. What is scary with Bertuzzi is he's had his 30-goal year. Before that, he had 2 21-goal years in 82 games. So he wasn't an offensive dynamo. And otherwise,
I see him struggling too in his own zone. I do.
Yeah.
Slow.
And he's not He's got heavy feet right now.
Yeah. The Leafs have played a lot of hockey lately, and you can kind of see it, right? Like, this is not the most dynamic outside of Matthews guy right now that, from a lot of guys.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, we'll continue our conversation on the Leafs as they head in towards a back-to-back with the Winnipeg Jets before breaking for All-Star Weekend. In the second hour, Mike Rupp will join us. Plenty of news around the National Hockey League.
Yeah, what happened?
And some positive stuff after the break, too.
What happened?
Corey Perry, not a Toronto Maple Leaf.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to talk about that after the break, and also the Islanders with Patrick Waugh. We'll get into that with Rupper at the top of the hour. So much more to go on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. Do not go away. It's Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, and Sammy, Mr. Vegas.
Oh, yeah. That's what they call me.
McKee.
Mr. Vegas.
Are you getting any messages at all saying, get the Knights hat off?
No one said that.
Nothing?
But I personally love this hat. It's very nice. Love the shimmer. I will say their team store was insane. The things you could buy in there. You could buy like frilled jackets and like it was unlike anything I've ever seen.
What do they charge you for a hat like that?
I think it was $35.
Yeah.
American.
Yeah, so 50.
So 85 Canadian.
At least.
It was pretty
At least.
reasonable.
But I mean,
honestly.
you're not getting it cheaper here.
Yeah, no, it's reasonable.
Okay, one of the biggest stories around the National Hockey League today, Corey Perry signing and now a member of the Edmonton Oilers. In the second hour, we're going to go into greater detail on this. Yeah. So I will just throw it from a Maple Leaf perspective here. Sammy, how disappointed is Leaf Nation that watching Corey Perry reinvent himself as one of the better role players on a hockey club didn't end up in Toronto?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that I've gotten a ton of messages about it today, surprisingly. I haven't really heard from a lot of people on it, which surprised me considering when he first was a free agent, everyone was pretty excited about the potential of it.
No,
So they
you
thought
were.
about it.
Well,
You
no,
were.
A lot of people were. And I have to say that you look at the Leafs bottom six and you can't lie to yourself and say there's a pretty clear need with the Leafs, where a guy like that, a playoff-proven guy, where you would want to have him in there. But on the other side, and we're going to get more into this in the National Hour, I watched that press conference today, and I would be lying to you if I told you it didn't feel a little dirty. Yeah. So I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth here. I think I can't completely kill the Oilers because I would have wanted them on the Leafs, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. So I'm kind of stuck in between, fellas.
Is he going to really help?
Yeah, he'll probably help. I don't know. I'm not 100% sold that he's going to be as much of a difference maker as people think he is. He hasn't played for 2 months.
2 months.
At 30, whatever he is.
He's on the ice 5 times a week, he said, during the time. So
you know how it is. You can practice all you like. It's not the same as
But
playing
he's got
hockey.
plenty of time. All he really needs to do is get himself ready for the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not as sold that this is going to be a hockey slam dunk, but it probably will be better than they let Adam Ernie go, who's a pretty good player, but nothing special.
Yeah.
Okay. No Corey Perry, but also no Ryan Reeves to be found for Sheldon Keefe to find different places or areas to put him in. So what is the deal here in terms of his availability, or is he not available based on still being on a long-term injury reserve?
I do just want to note for people in the Perry thing, we're going to talk more about the well-roundedness of this conversation. That was a pretty quick hockey 2 cents. So there is more on that coming. The Reeves thing's interesting. So Luke Fox talked to him and Reeves is like, I'm healthy. I've been ready to play for weeks, and he's still on IR. And so I do wonder,
here's the quote.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been ready for a couple weeks now. That's a question for them. I am not in the rooms, in those conversations. I'm not going to speculate anything. Just stay ready. And if I get called upon, I'll get my work in.
But I do think that the Leafs are at some risk there of you can't keep a healthy player on IR. Right? Like the PA would not love that, I would think. So something's got to give.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. We've seen teams manipulate this thing before, and how do you stop it? Like, our player thinks he's healthy. We're the doctors.
Well, yeah, I think there's a really fair. But when the player says I'm healthy, and the team disagrees, someone needs to follow up on that. So I think there's a game this Wednesday. They'll probably sort it out before then.
I don't.
But by sorting it out, that means someone has to go on waivers, right? Like he's another contract.
Is it a foregone conclusion that the way Holmberg stepped up, at times you love McMahon, Nick Robertson had the game of his life. Where is this guy ever going to fit back into the lineup?
Do you think Brad Treliving, after 20-some games, I don't know how many Ryan Reeves has played exactly, 21 games, will admit a 3-year contract is a bust? That's a pretty big statement in January when you just got the job. But I think they're going to waive him.
Kipper's right, though. It's like, where does he play?
Yeah.
He's just going to continue to sit. Like, maybe if he clears, he can go down and play with the Marlies and get back up to shape or whatever. But
Listen,
that's probably where it starts.
This is
what do you call it? A conditioning stint or whatever.
This is Wayne Simmons all over again.
Except it's not. Wayne Simmons wasn't 3-year contract.
Yeah,
was it?
Wayne willing to hang around?
I'm not talking about contracts. I'm talking about a guy that they refuse to put in the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you do with them? So,
this was so
the
bad.
difference, Wayne Simmons, Wayne Simmons refused to play another game in the American Hockey League, and with his career, I couldn't blame him.
But he was an excellent NHL player for a long time,
and good on the Leafs for respecting that, but it ultimately did nothing for him moving forward. Yeah. And the Leafs drew their line in the sand, saying, "Hey, listen, you don't want to play, don't play," and could factor into putting you back in or not later on. We don't know, but you're not playing here. And that's all that's going on right now, I think, with Ryan Reeves.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know. I mean, he's got a 3-year deal. So what? You waive him, you put him in the minors, you get to write off $950 of it, if I'm not mistaken.
1.1?
Yeah.
1.15.
Okay, so what are you left with? $200,000?
Yes, $200,000.
Big deal.
Well, it's not no deal, but you're right.
It's not no deal, but it's not a big deal.
It's not.
People get caught up on the feeling that you sign him to a 3-year deal. So what? It's just cash for them.
It is just cap, but it's also like your cash, but it's also like it is a contract towards your 50 contracts, and that's annoying. And it's $200,000, which it's just a little bit annoying, and it's just like it's another guy you can't invite to camp, and it's just annoying.
I get it.
You just signed it,
and it's not like he's
gave you a good year.
No, he's not Mr. Quiet Guy.
Yeah.
He's not like the guy that's like going to go out there and not say anything. He's already talking to Luke Fox, telling him that he's pissed he's not playing. How do you think he's going to say to old Luke when he goes down?
Yeah. So, that's TBD, but it does feel like
I was
fired. Find a solution here.
I can't sit here and say that I was not excited about this signing.
I wonder
I feel
if
like an
anyone
idiot.
would grab him. I wonder if anyone would say, hey, we need this element on our team. Like the Blackhawks want to protect Bedard or whatever for a couple of years while he's developing and they're losing.
I don't know. I don't think he did himself any favors by coming out and fighting in 2 out of 3 games.
Yeah, and then not for
the first 2 and then never again.
Not again.
Yeah.
Or at least making noise about it, or at least creating a bit of a different feel for the organization. He was supposed to come in and give them a different feel.
Yeah.
And it just didn't happen.
You know what I think is hard is I think these guys, like Reeves is a smart guy. I think these guys get older and they're still tough, but they don't want to fight all the time. No one would want to fight all the time.
You're
37 years old, 38, but
you're right.
The job. So
you're right. And then you want to have your reputation carry the weight of whatever you're trying to portray.
Yes.
I come in pretty hot.
But the thing is, I mean, he can't. There's having an image to portray, but you just can't play.
Yeah,
like he just.
In his 21
we
games
saw it him playing. Like it was a good shift if he didn't get scored on.
Yeah, let's get in Samsonov before we change hours here.
Yeah.
All right.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
I have nothing else to add except
best and by far the look that he had a good portion of last season. How's that?
I mean, some unbelievable saves. Going post to post and not necessarily like the desperation type that we, because he's over pushing. Just a really good game in a game that would have been hard because he only saw 15, 16, 17 bucks.
I thought he found the center of his net is the best way I can describe last night, what I saw.
Yeah, if he's over pushing, he can't get those toes across on the comebackers.
All right, let's get let's get
rep.
Sheldon in on what he saw from Samsonov.
Confident and prepared, I would say, for whatever was going to come at him, and he didn't get a lot of work here tonight, but that sometimes is even harder because you got long gaps between it, so you got to really stay focused. And he was great. I mean, you look at that third period save that he made. I mean, it was his first shot of the period that he had faced. I don't know how, it's over 10 minutes of game time and no shots, and then you got to make a big save. So. Yeah, I thought he was excellent. A few huge saves in the second period as well. So, tremendous job for him. Really happy for him. Obviously, it's been a tough road for him, but he's worked extremely hard. And as I had alluded to before the game, to me, it had felt all week, like he was back to himself. And today was certainly a good indication of that.
Can he be Stu Skinner and have a turning point where all of a sudden he's just good again?
I need about 5 more of those.
Yeah. Not ready to just say we're fixed here.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
You can get 5. You're still going to be nervous.
Absolutely.
In March.
No, you know me very well, Kyper. You're bang on.
Or in the first round.
Yes.
So it doesn't really. He can.
The relationship is definitely frayed.
He can build blocks, which I thought he did last night. But there will always be that seed of doubt.
I think I said last night, and if I didn't, I was thinking it, that, in the backup role, it's just so much easier to trust Martin Jones, who, such a calm, big pro. Like, you just think he'll go in there if you need him to just face the puck and do his job. That it's really hard. Samsonov will have to be really good for a good stretch for me to be like, it should be Woll and Samsonov. Like, it's going to be hard to get back there for me.
And if when Woll comes back, I think after seeing what the people have seen from Martin Jones, he'll probably get claimed. Right?
Oh, yeah. Really tough to put him through waivers. That's true.
I doubt he would get through again. So, it's a big decision looming with the goaltending when Woll gets back. Yeah. But
at least you were happy for him. I think we saw Willie Nylander's reaction after the game.
Yeah.
I mean,
he seems like a well-liked guy.
He's been through a lot.
Yeah. Finally, some smile.
But
pro sports, congratulations.
Okay,
congratulations. You got a win against the crappy Kraken.
Once again, I'll be the first one to say that every time I go this way, Sheldon Keefe goes the other way with the goaltending.
Yeah.
But he has to play now, Samsonov, Wednesday.
I agree.
You can't carry all that momentum and have him look as close as he did last year and not carry that in and go back to the goalie right now who's exhausted in Martin Jones.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
100%. It's got to be.
Okay.
Anyways, from February 1st to the 3rd, all the stars are in Toronto for the NHL All-Star Weekend. And we'll be giving away tickets to the different events and episodes today until January 26th. Today we have tickets for the NHL All-Stars competition featuring 12 NHL All-Stars competing in a series of challenges like Rogers NHL Hardest Shot for a chance to take home a prize of $1 million. Yes. To enter for a chance to win, text in today's code word MILLION to 59590, and we'll have another code word in tomorrow's episode. So be sure to tune in. That code word again, fellas, is MILLION.
2 Toronto Maple Leafs, I believe, are representing the team in the skills contest. I believe it's Matthews and Nylander.
Mm-hmm.
So that should be, a couple of guys with skills.
12 in total.
Yeah.
I think we had a kind of a description of what fans could expect in our show last night.
Yeah.
I got to be honest with you. I wasn't paying attention.
Can I give you a follow-up test and see how it went?
No, you're the brains of this whole operation, not me.
There's 6 events, and the players will choose 4 to go in. They will collect 5 points for first place, yada, yada. Collect points, 4 events, then move on.
I guess it would be Matthews going on accuracy shooting.
Yeah, all I know is Matthews said he's not going in fastest skater.
See, this is why I have you on the show.
Willie should go fastest skater.
Because you're smart. Okay, we're going to take a quick break.
Yes,
Mike
agreed.
Rupp will join us, and we will get into the Corey Perry signing with the Edmonton Oilers. Don't go away. Let's welcome everybody in to the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. This is the national edition. We are live on Sportsnet, Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver, and Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. This hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. The Edmonton Oilers agreed to terms with Corey Perry on a contract for the remainder of the season. Lots of talk, lots of speculation. Not so much if Corey, guys, was going to come back, but when and where. Your first thoughts, I'll start with you, JB, on this getting done, I suppose, this early off of the trade deadline date of, March 8th?
My first thoughts are just, I think it's really strange how it's all being covered and handled. That he did something so egregious in Chicago that they terminated a $4 million contract. And, here we are, whatever it is, 8 weeks later, new team signs them. And they don't have to say anything about why. Fans are just supposed to be like, okay. It's all... That team didn't want him there because of the way he was comporting himself. So I just think it's fair to ask questions like, why is it not important to know a little bit about what happened?
Are you
Yeah,
Sammy? You think everybody feels that way, or there's some people that say this is a private matter and it's none of our business?
I think it probably comes down to what market you're in. If you're in Edmonton today, you're probably making the argument that it's not our business.
Right to privacy and all that.
Yeah.
He's a public figure, though, right?
Yeah, but I think probably people in other markets are making different things when rightfully so. Like, I said in our hour before that I'd be lying to you if part of me wasn't upset that he's not on the Leafs because of just very clear needs for the Leafs, very clear fit there in terms of on ice stuff. But watching the press conference today, and we'll get a couple clips, I don't know. It just feels fast.
Yeah.
Feels fast to me.
Okay.
And what about you?
Let's get a Corey Perry. He met the media today after practice, along with general manager, president of hockey operations, Ken Holland. Let's listen to Corey Perry today.
Or you'd mentioned in your original statement back in November how you were, looking to get help for mental health and some substance abuse counselors. What do you say to the people out there? Because lots of people maybe are going through similar stuff like that. What advice to give them? What'd you learn about yourself during the last few months in regards to that?
This whole situation's not easy. But if you do have a problem, get help. Seek out. There's no shame in it. It's just if you need the help, go find it and treat yourself. I mean, when I get up in the morning every day now, I can look myself in the mirror and be happy about myself and where I'm going and be proud of what I've done over the last 2 months.
Would you have liked more clarity to what he exactly was going through? Is that what you're feeling like that you needed a little bit more explaining?
I guess the question is there a line that's too far for anyone? Like, does it matter what he did at all? Or is it just like, it doesn't matter? My presumption is most people would say, of course it matters. You can't do everything. And so I think it's interesting that later, and I don't know if we have this clip or not, but like Ken Holland was asked, what do you know about it?
Yeah. You want the clip?
Do you want to?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's hear the Ken Holland on that.
Do you feel like you know everything that happened in Chicago, and from an off-ice perspective, why are you comfortable bringing him in that sense?
Well, do I know every detail? No, but I have talked to Kyle Davidson, who obviously is a manager of that team. Again, I'm like, I can't tell you exactly what we said because I told him I can't tell you exactly, but based upon my conversation with Kyle Davidson, my conversations with Bill Daly, my conversations with Corey, what Corey has done over the last 2 months to get help, and we've talked to some other people, ultimately led us to making this decision to be here today.
So if, Corey Perry really was in a tough spot and he needed help, I think it's really awesome that he got help. I obviously went through that myself, and I've got all the sympathy in the world for what he's been through. It's a really tough time right after it. Come out of treatment, trying to find who you are again, having been someone who went out and partied with the boys. Presumably he's not doing that anymore. It's a turning point moment. So all the sympathy in the world for him. And I'm not saying he can't play and shouldn't play. That's not my point at all. It's that for an individual organization to say that we're the team that's going to take on what he did in the past. We are not condoning it, but accepting of it or whatever. I just think that, I need a little better than we don't know everything. We asked the GM of the team that, terminated his contract and it seems okay. I just think there should be maybe a bit more.
I mean, yeah, like you can't say what he said. He's like, oh, did he say don't sign him? He's a scumbag. Like, what did he say? Like, you could have said anything. You could have talked to him and he could have said anything if you don't have to give details.
Right.
I'm like, this is when it comes to mental health and programs, like I'm the last guy that would know anything about that. He'd never mentioned what he's battling, which is, again, his privacy. It's his prerogative.
For sure. And I believe that is.
But if it's something that was very substantial, is it possible that 8 weeks could definitely impact him? I think what Edmonton Oilers fans would want to know best is that you lost your job in Chicago because of your behavior, and it was bad enough behavior that the Chicago Blackhawks terminated your contract and kicked you to the curb.
And we don't know if he's going to grieve that
so
yet.
Is 8 weeks enough to reassure you and Ken Holland that this behavior will not continue in Edmonton?
Well, it's never enough to reassure, like like I said, it's the most perilous time is when you're fresh out of it. We talked a little bit before the show and I wanted to give the example of when I was out and as an alcoholic and you talk to people who refer to alcoholics as tornadoes. They're a tornado in people's lives. They just, make a mess and wreck things, whatever. And in the, big book, they talk about like a farmer and his wife go in the storm cellar and, tornado blows over. And then, they open the storm cellar after and the farmer looks at his wife and says, wasn't this great? The wind stopped blowing, and it's like, but there's still, the house is blown over and whatever. So when you get better and the wind stops blowing, there's still a lot of problems to fix. And it's really hard to believe that whatever needed fixing before is, he's got a lot of work, presumably with relationships and in Chicago and whatever. I think it's great that he's trying to get better. I think it's fine that he's allowed to play. I just think from a public perspective, it's very strange that we're all just going to go, whatever he did is fine. Good on the fourth line.
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, the last few days, I have made calls to different clubs. I believe that there was not substantial interest in Corey Perry outside of what Edmonton showed right from the get-go.
Like other teams have looked at him and said, no, not for us.
Not for us.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And I include, I think, the Toronto Maple Leafs, that one of the things that was brought to my attention was, again, not knowing the details. And we have Ken Holland talking about that.
Yeah, we played it. Yeah.
What did he say? I don't know every detail.
Mm-hmm.
And that's scaring. That scared the hell out of a lot of teams.
Sure.
Right? And if you're a hockey club right now and you thought about taking Corey Perry and you don't know all the details, the one thing that stands out is, if I don't know all the details about this one incident, is there a potential that there are other incidences that may come out a little later?
Right.
And they did not want to take that chance. Was that situation an isolated incident, or is there a chance that something else can surface down the road? That's the main reason why a lot of teams did not want to go down that path. There was no bidding war for him. There was no sweepstakes for Corey Perry. This is the Edmonton Oilers taking a chance, no different than they took a chance on Evander Kane.
Yeah. And no one has said that he's not a useful hockey player by any means. I don't think anyone's point here. There's no doubt that he is. It's that, is it worth what the statement your organization makes if there are further complications to this? So, I hope sincerely that Corey Perry needed help and got help, and that he's able to start building trust back with his family and relationships and all that. And he's able to find his career again, and everyone's able to be hunky-dory with it. I just think it's a little hard for me, because I'm loving what the Oilers are doing. They've won 13 straight games, good mojo, they're humming. It's really hard for me to now watch that and be like, whatever, it doesn't even matter as long as you win.
And we watched the press conference, and he did not reveal details. There's a mystery of exactly what happened, but there was a sense that the media, at least there, didn't push him that hard, and they don't really care. They don't really, at the end of it, care. So,
do you think that would have been the same here in Toronto if it had happened?
I don't. Again, listen. There's the majority of the media. They just want to cover hockey. They're not. They're not the ones that dig. Yeah. They're not Westhead. Mm-hmm. They're not Katie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Katie Strang. Yeah,
but they're still out there.
Yeah.
And I can rest assure you that if there's more or any, they'll find it, they'll dig it, they won't stop.
Yeah.
And that's the worry for some of the hockey clubs, that there's a Katie out there that won't let it go. Mm-hmm. And if there's anything out there, she'll find it. Yeah. I don't really want to deal with that right now. So that's why there's that, do we want him or not want him?
Yep.
Conversation.
Well, maybe we can ask our next guest what he thinks.
Let's welcome
or
in.
Not if you're ready to turn the page, Kip. You drive the bus.
No. Mike Rupp, NHL Network analyst, former NHLer, Stanley Cup champion. No better guy to ask on thoughts on Corey Perry, because we know the Corey Perry as a player, but perhaps why some teams were interested, some teams weren't. We'd love to get your thoughts on this, Rupper. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me. First off, I'll give you my thoughts on. I don't know why hotel rooms don't have proper lighting.
It's all lounge mood lighting now.
I have every light on in this entire room, and I can barely read a book if I wanted to. But anyways, if you guys can deal with it, I'm here. I was listening to what you guys are saying there. I guess for me, like the bigger picture, and we've seen this with different situations, different stories, whether it's the Perry situation. I mean, you can go back to, remember the Nichushkin situation in the playoffs. There's always these stories, and I get the privacy and you want to keep those things, in-house, but that's where things get legs, right? And that's where everybody, and we all like to never have a statement at all on a lot of these situations, I think is, it hurts. It hurt, even from just a hockey standpoint, even the Cutter Gauthier situation, to never come out with something. Like, it's where these stories kind of get these legs. And I'm sure that I would be shocked if the Edmonton Oilers and any teams inquiring on Corey Perry did not demand more information. If they did not, that's brutal, but I would assume they did, right? Like, and you got to try to figure out what you could figure out, maybe that everybody doesn't know. But it's as far as a hockey standpoint, it's a great move. But there's a lot more to it, obviously, than just the hockey. And like Kyper said, you don't want this thing kind of being a black cloud over your team and sneaking up at the wrong time.
Rupert, let me ask you about players around the league. And, I mean, you're close to a lot of them. And they just watched a player get terminated with cause, but nobody knows why. And now, as we move forward, do I have to now revisit my behavior? Where's the line for 750 players to say, okay, can my contract be terminated? And I've learned nothing from the situation with Corey Perry. Is there a precedent set, or is there no precedent set here? Is that a concern to the players? They don't know why a guy just lost his job?
Yeah, it's a fair point. And chances are, I think from just like you guys know from being inside that locker room, I don't think that that's something you're going to be, bringing up on day one and want to know more information from the new guy, right? So, yeah, I think that's where agents come into play too. Like this is something that agents have to kind of dig on this situation too. You've got to know what happened and why this measure happened, right? And to I don't want to say learn from it, because I don't know. Again, that's me alluding to what the situation is. We never were given anything on it, right? But I think that you sit there as a player, be like, hold on, our contracts can be terminated that easily. And then, but I also think the other side of it is, if your contract's being terminated, then you can just pick up and jump on the Stanley Cup contender right away too. I don't know if the message is being sent across on any level. So yeah, I think it's just being in the know and understanding and trying to figure out what the heck happened here. And it's not to just be nosy on the situation. It's, you know, you have a standard that you want players in this league to operate under, and if they're doing that, that's the end goal. But we don't know what we're talking about here. There's so much in the gray area.
Rupp, actually, just like a general question about, you know, the NHL locker room. You're a guy who had just a ton of respect throughout your career as someone who's a good teammate and a good leader. You know, I just remember hearing the line that, you know, you can have one bad guy in a room, but you don't want two. You know, they find each other, whatever. And I'm not even talking about Perry anymore, but just, you know, in your experience, is there sort of a threshold of guys that can tip the balance of positive to negative, or is there, you know, some way that a leader has to manage individual players' outside issues?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I know a lot of times from being in the room there, for the most part, man, like when you're talking about my NHL career, I mean, I didn't really come across many guys where you're like, wow, that guy's a bad teammate.
Sucks.
Like, I didn't really have that.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's all mostly, yeah, a lot of them are mostly like, okay, I'd hang out with that guy, I'd have a beer with that guy, this guy, yeah, man, not so much. But usually the not so much guys are the guys that are going to be blocking shots with their teeth, right? Like they're someone that they earn your respect in a different way.
Sure.
And, you know, they go out there and do those types of things. I think that, you know, over the course of an NHL season, there's all different days where you get sick of seeing each other's face. I remember in the playoffs, you know, you're in the hotel, and at least in New Jersey, we're in the hotel and home games too, and long runs, like you're literally seeing these guys in it's Groundhog Day, same situations every day, same people. You want to kill each other at times. And so, you know, it's something where I think that it's really important to have some of those checks and balances in the room. I think it's really important to have a leader, a captain that's not just your best skilled player. Like true captains have tough jobs to do. Jamie Langenbrunner is our captain in New Jersey for a stretch. He wasn't our most skilled guy, but you know what? When we'd sit there around dinner and go on the road and we'd be complaining about certain things, you know, Jamie would have to weigh when it was the right time, but he'd go to management and be like, hey, we can't do this anymore. And he'd have those hard conversations, and we wouldn't always get our way, but you had guys maybe in those situations too that would go tell a guy, hey, you got to chill out a little bit. Like it's wearing thin. I think that's important. I think what we've kind of gotten, this has been a long time probably coming. And Kyper, if anybody comes to mind, maybe in your career too, where I think it used to be when you thought captain was the leader, and now it's evolved into your most talented player, and that's become a ploy in keeping them on roster, right, and extending them. Well, you'll be our captain, you'll be our assistant captain.
You're stuck here.
It's kind of lost a little bit of thunder, and then you sit there, and I've heard this a million times. Well, we've got many leaders in the room. We've got 15 leaders in the room, 20 leaders in the room. Okay, but there's only certain letters, and when you have that letter, you have some cachet in that room. So I think it's really important to have the right guys doing the right things, saying the right things, being accountable, just not on the ice, but off the ice as well.
Well, Kevin Lowe, the year we won the Stanley Cup, he was at the latter part of his career and by no means considered one of the better shutdown defensemen or anything like that. Often I'd see him whispering into Mark Messier's ear, and I'm like, that guy could easily be our captain as well.
Coming through him.
Yeah, absolutely. Rupper, in terms of having a voice now, Corey Perry's voice, MVP, Stanley Cup champion, will carry a lot of that weight. But how quickly will it take him to kind of get going here? He's been off for 2 months.
Yeah, I mean, I think it takes time to go to a new team and just find your way in that room socially. I think that's the first thing too, right? Like it's not just on the ice trying to get up to speed, especially when you haven't played in NHL games. That to me will come along even quicker. I mean, it doesn't take, I don't believe, that long. Obviously, assuming that everything was kept on, you kept yourself in shape and you're doing the things that getting up to speed, different for every player. For me, it would probably take a couple of weeks for me, to be honest with you. But, that part's there. But I think it's more that when you get a guy that has a Stanley Cup, has the experiences that a guy like Corey Perry has had, you expect some of that to come out, whether it's saying those things in the room or that stuff doesn't just happen. I think there's this misconception sometimes that when you add a guy, that immediately it's like, oh, he's one of the voices in the room. If you come across too hot too early, I think that you lose the room too, right? Like, you can't come in the room, and especially on a team like this, and I'm not saying that's going to happen. This team's been on a tear. You think they wouldn't, like someone coming in and saying something, it takes some time socially to fall in and find the way you fit in with that room, and you got to, show respect to the veterans that have been the leaders there already. So, it'll take them some time here, but the good thing about it is this isn't a team who's really struggling and needs a spark right now, and that's why they made this move. I mean, geez, if the roster's working and clicking pretty good right now, you can take your time with this, and it happened at a good time in the season.
Speaking of new voices, Rupp, I just want to get your thoughts on one of the teams not too far from you there in New York. Patrick Waugh gets hired to coach the New York Islanders. Talk about a different direction for them. What are your thoughts on the hire?
Yeah, it's great. And Lou kind of came out and said it, right? When he's the only guy that I wanted, and that's why he's here. So when Lou Lamoriello wants something, he generally does anything he can to get it, and he's got conviction in his decisions. Patrick, it's nothing new that I'm going to say here, that he's going to be a guy that infuses, and you heard that even after last night's game. He infuses energy. Any new coach would have a little bit of a different vibe, but Patty's going to give them something else. They were a very flat team prior, and they need a spark, basically, is what it is. My only concern is that when you start pulling back some of the numbers on their season, fellas, they've been awful. Like, really, really, really bad. Like, that's not a team that will there be a bump? There should be a bump, but I don't think they still make the playoffs. Like, that, they're pretty much 29th through 32nd in every defensive category there's possibly is. And, they're a team that they're defending a lot as far as they're giving up their blue line. Like, I'm concerned with their D-core. I don't think their D-core is what they thought it would be with some of the personnel they have. It should be a strength, what we thought was a strength. Man, they're a real mess of where things are, because they were a team, didn't have a good power play. Well, that's good. Okay, it's good now. You can check that off. But everything you had as far as your foundation is out the window. Like, they are a team that just, I don't see how you turn this around. Even if they went from a 29th, 30th defensive team in the league, if they move that up to 15th, that's huge. Like, that'd be huge steps taken in the right direction. They're still not a playoff team for me. They're not going to win or threaten anybody in the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree with you, Rupper, just in terms of I don't see this as a signing to get them in the playoffs, and I hope Islander fans feel the same way.
Oh, they for sure do.
This is about a true winner going into the room and then looking around and saying and deciding who he can win with and who he can't. And this is about straightening out a room here.
This is about a owner who just bought a very expensive facility, saying to his GM, "We need to be in the playoffs as soon as possible, Lou."
And if he gets him in, it's a bonus.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, and that's part of it too with this team is, and I hate saying that. I mean, I'm more or less saying they've been garbage all year, and I don't really see that change that much. Individually, I love a lot of these guys, right? Like, I would, if I was sitting there, I'd handpick, I want this guy, that guy, this guy, that guy. I mean, collectively, as a bunch of individuals, I look at them, and I think this is a winnable group. And I think that's where this team has been at for a number of years, why they've run back this core. They believe they have a special group there. But along the way, like, you got to play together as a team, and they're not doing that. I don't know what they are, who they are. I sit here and I wonder, if we fast forward a number of years, is having Ilya Sorokin in net actually hurt them? Like, is it hurt that franchise, set them back, because it's allowed them to believe, whether it's him or Varlamov, it's allowed them to believe that they're into things more than they are. Hey, the other thing too, Islander fans, a lot of Islander fans I talk to are like, well, Ilya's Sorokin's numbers are down a little bit. Yeah, they're down a little bit because he's seeing an absurd amount of grade A's. Like, where his numbers are from what he is seeing as far as league average, his numbers should be way worse. He has been their lifesaver all season long, and I wonder if they are unable to turn the corner, whether it's this year or Kyper next year. Like, if we'll look back at this and be like, man, you had one of the best goalies in the league, and it made you think you were something you're not.
Well, we'll see where it leads in the next week or two with Patrick Roy. Hey, Rupper, really appreciate your time, man. Thanks for doing this.
Hey, thanks, guys. Anytime.
Thanks, Rupert. Appreciate it.
NHL Network, Stanley Cup champion. Good stuff there.
Because the Isles D is so bad, Sorokin leads the league in goals saved above expected on Sportlogic.
Yeah. Some really good stuff there. Just to go back on my final thoughts on Corey Perry. And listen, I'm pro rehabilitation. I'm pro second chances. Yeah. But to your point earlier, the one thing that I don't particularly like is just the secretiveness about making decisions without coming with a little bit more information, because the less information, the less we as a hockey community can hold people accountable for decisions that can help people move on in their lives or ruin legacies in their career.
Sure.
And I look at two people out of the Chicago Blackhawks that were kicked to the curb, Corey Perry and Joel Quenneville. One got to resume his career, to step into the Hall of Fame when he's done, and one didn't and is out of the Hockey Hall of Fame. And I don't know why. We don't know why. We don't know what the difference was, why Corey got to rehabilitate, where's Joel. We have no explanation why Joel definitively is out, and we don't have a very clear picture of why Corey's back in. And we'll never know.
I guess that's the way it's going to be. I'm just shocked that they wouldn't put out some sort of statement like, here's sort of a rough look at at an incident and what we're healing from, and what steps have been taken.
I think the greater picture with Quenneville, Kip, is that they know what the scenario was, and I think you can debate what the involvement is with Quenneville in that, but we know what this incident was and the horrible stuff that happened in Chicago.
But we don't know where Joel truly fit into the equation.
Of course, that's what I just said.
Yeah.
But with Corey Perry, there's legitimately zero. No one has any idea, and he's already back.
And if it was no big deal, great.
Yes.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Then it won't be a big deal.
Well, that's the thing. Like, to me, that's the big red flag, where it's like, well, if it wasn't that big a deal, then you probably would have told us what it was.
Right.
Right? Like, if it was like something that, for your contract to get voided for $4 million, it had to be something.
Right.
Anyways.
And so, I get the desire in having a Hall of Fame player and a playoff style guy and all that. But,
you showed a clip last night on our Leaf edition, Leafs versus Seattle, of Patrick Roy. Pretty intense guy in his first practice.
You want to do game time?
Yeah.
And we'll do it after the break.
Get back to Patty?
Hey, you take one day off, you come back, you're the boss all over again.
But I just thought, save it for our news and notes. So we have more time to stretch our legs with Patrick Roy. Okay?
Let's do it.
All right. It's game time, presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Two that I'm looking at for tonight, fellas. Excellent matchup. Boston Bruins, Winnipeg Jets.
Ooh.
Yeah. Great game. In Boston, Winnipeg is a underdog, plus 115. To me, that's a nice number for the Winnipeg Jets, who are clearly playing really well. Heading on Eastern. Oh.
Can I get the under on that with those two goalies?
The over-under, 5.5. Under is minus 120.
Because it's 5.5. Yeah, really low line.
It's a really low line. They know that those two goalies are very good, and there's probably
found out.
They're both good defensively.
There's 6 or 7 goals in this game.
Think so? 5.5 is a pretty low line. That is.
And
4-2 final, empty net.
God, you talk me into it.
And yeah, the Bruins are getting hot again. They've won 4 in a row. So, I mean, that's a pretty good number to get the Winnipeg Jets out, who are they still the best team in the league or one of the best teams in the league? And the other one I was looking at, watched the Penguins in person on Saturday night. Didn't love what I saw.
No.
Specifically from Evgeny Malkin. Boy, it's going the other way for him.
Yeah.
They just disconnected in the third period. Didn't look great. They are a huge favorite against the Arizona Coyotes. Don't love that. Plus 130 for the Arizona Coyotes tonight. Give me the Mullet Boys from Mullet Arena, Arizona to win.
Love
Plus
it.
130.
The one I want to ask you about, if you still have that up, is just what are the Canucks odds of beating Chicago tonight?
They are minus 450.
That's great.
They're minus 450.
That's fun.
So,
Don't bet that.
Don't bet that.
Yeah.
Minus a goal and a half. They're minus 164, 165 still. So,
Wild.
not a lot of value on betting on the Canucks tonight to beat the Blackhawks.
No, sir.
That was Game Time, presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about tough coaches, hard-nosed coaches in the year 2024. Does it work anymore? If it does, for how long?
Mm-hmm.
Also, speaking of those Bruins, Sammy, Patrice Bergeron, man, those rumors will not go away.
Did you see the quote from today?
We will get to it after the break. More Real Kyper and Bourne. Welcome back into the Real Kyper and Bourne show. The Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Mr. Vegas.
Thank you.
Do you think Patrick Waugh can go in there with the same kind of Rick Tocchet kind of feel where it's, I got enough old school in me that I can push you, but I understand you guys more than ever because I spent the last 6 years with junior kids.
Yeah. I mean, I think, a lot of has been made, I think, of coaches tend to do well on their second stop. Patrick Waugh has talked about being humbled by the NHL phone not ringing post Colorado. So he's got this like fresh mindset, says he wants nothing to do with like player personnel. He knows that's going to be Lou's role. He's saying all the right things. And, the one thing I would just disagree with Rupp on a little bit is, he talked about how the Islanders are garbage defensively. And, he goes, if they can improve to 15th, okay, still not a contender. Currently 2 points out of a playoff spot. If you go from 32nd to 15th or 20th even in defense, you're going to win a lot more hockey games. Mm-hmm. So I still think this is a very salvageable season. And frankly, I think they've got enough kind of veteran guys with Anders Lee and Brock Nelson and Pelech and Pulock and, whatever, that they could make noise in the playoffs. So maybe it's an Islanders fan comment, but I don't hate this. Season's not cooked.
Yeah, well, you guys know how I feel about Patrick Waugh. And I got to give Lou Lamoriello a ton of credit here because he saw something and he went for it. And it's not easy today for some presidents or general managers to go get a voice that strong.
Love it.
Some of them are intimidated by a strong voice because some of them don't want to hear some things that maybe come back at them.
Sure. Yeah. Well, we'll tell him.
Think about Lou's reputation as a general manager, his history, one of the best in the game. And he goes and hires such a strong voice like Patrick Waugh. Mm-hmm. Like that says a lot about Lou.
Does. He recognized a need. And, I certainly think that this was the perfect team. I wrote about coaches last week, the day before they fired Lambert, and said that the Islanders needed a change. They just needed some sort of different voice. So to your point, you had a strong guy like Waugh and a pretty coveted character, I think, this year. St. Louis had been talked about being rumored is interested in
Columbus, too?
I think so, yeah. And it's like brand new building, pretty close to the city here. Now, it's a great place and a team that's got some talent. Should be an easy sell.
Yeah, and if he disagrees with Lou, he's going to tell him.
And vice versa.
Like right now, I'd say when it comes to the ownership group now in the island, like Patrick's voice is now bigger than Lou's.
Think so?
Yes, because it'll continue to grow. And I don't think Lou's made some good decisions in the last little while, and there's reasons to question whether or not Lou still has it as a general manager or a president. And
he's 81. He could run for a real president in the U.S.
And if Patrick doesn't agree with him, man, he's going to let him know.
Yeah.
And again, Some presidents don't want that. They don't want that strong voice to go up and challenge them. They want yes men around them.
Yeah. Lou's thing has always been he's never bought into this whole youth movement, speed and skill thing, that he believes in veteran players. And so the concern with the Islanders is if they're not good right now, who is the one on the way? What are the fixes coming? So I understand that they wanted to make a hard change and push these guys to immediately be better.
Yeah.
Because it could get worse.
My question is, talk about him being humbled and a new version. How many losses does it take to get the other version?
Yeah. Good question.
You are who you are. You can't, come on. It's Patrick Waugh, boys.
They are who we thought they were.
He's definitely going to be, he'll be Mr. Quiet the entire time. How over under a week and a half for first public blow up at a player?
They must have given him, 4 years?
Remember that story where he ripped the doors off the hinge?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it?
I
is 4
can't
years?
guarantee you doors are safe.
Yeah. What do you think they gave him for length of a contract? Because he is a coveted guy, I think, right?
Yeah.
They just won the Mem Cup. And
I got the sense that he was looking more for the opportunity than he was looking for financial security to come back in.
Yeah.
That he just wanted an opportunity to come in and do what he loves. And that's my number one priority. Money wasn't. So I don't believe that he rang the bell on this contract, and I don't believe that it's 5 years, and I don't believe he's one of the highest paid coaches in the league. I just think yes. No, it was not. My understanding was that it was about the opportunity, not about cashing in.
do we have a walk
We do have a walk clip.
Let's
Would you like to
listen
hear
to Patrick. Yep.
I could not ask for any better situation at this period of my life. It'd be easy to stay home and play golf, and enjoy life. But this is what makes me feel I'm alive, and I really enjoy it.
This is what makes me feel alive.
For the record, I want to stay home and golf.
Yeah, me too.
I
Great.
will
That's what makes
have
me feel
no
alive.
problem feeling alive.
But I will say, hearing him say that.
Doesn't he live in Quebec?
Yes.
I mean, it's January.
Where are you playing golf?
You're not golfing anywhere.
I think he's got a place down south.
Yeah, he's probably got a.
Yeah, but you can golf there in this. You can coach the Ramparts from Florida. Was he working from home?
But he also, like Marty St. Louis said, with my dying breath or whatever he said, if I could choose whatever in my last night, I want to be in the Bell Center on Saturday night. That's Waugh too. These guys are competitors, and they want to be at the highest level in the biggest buildings, playing the biggest games. And I want that coaching my team.
And if he signed a 3-year deal, he's 2 years away from maybe becoming the highest paid coach. You don't
if they have success.
If they have success, and he's turned this program around, and they're a top 5 team, and you're Patrick Waugh, you go make $5 million in a heartbeat, $6 million on your next deal.
And listen, some of the contracts they do have that are longer, like Noah Dobson's making $4 million. He'll be on Norris ballots this year with all the points he's getting. Pellich makes 5.7 for another 100 years. Barzal and Horvat and some very good players on cheap deals.
I'm just looking at the New York Islanders' upcoming schedule. Tomorrow, my Golden Knights are visiting them, 7:30. Yes. And then on Thursday, a trip to the Bell Center.
Oh, yeah. Second game or third game with the Islanders.
Third game with the Islanders. I'm sure no one will be there for that one.
And they play here in a couple weeks in Toronto.
Yeah.
So that's going to be fun, too. Or they play each other. I don't know where the game is.
The one thing's clear, just when it comes to that intensity, that at no time can these Islanders now come to practice, go to a team meeting without just feeling like you're a little bit on eggshells.
Day one, right? He's on the ice. Right? He's banging the ice. He's going, we got to be better over here.
It won't matter.
Tune
Win
in.
3, lose 3, it won't matter. Anytime you're around him, they will be nervous.
That's why you care about competitors.
And I lived it with Keenan. Yeah. And it can't hurt.
It sucks.
It's uncomfortable.
Yes.
It doesn't necessarily suck. It's just really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. You know who's probably rooting for this to not work?
Sheldon Keefe.
Correct.
Who's that? Sorry?
Sheldon Keefe. Because, I mean, the Islanders and Leafs are in similar situations. Like, the Leafs are on the precipice of being outside of the playoffs looking in, an underachieving team with a coach that hadn't really, like, that, been there for a few years and wasn't working. Like, a lot of parallels here. And, bringing in a guy like, I don't know, that's out there that we've mentioned a few times, like a Craig Berube, big personality, different type of guy. A lot of parallels here. So, like, if they start getting hot, and they could pass the Leafs.
Yeah. Listen,
the Isles are chasing.
When we think about coaching over the last 10 or 15 years, there was this feeling like everybody's getting regurgitated, right? They're recycling all these names. And then there was a push for like new, fresh, young faces.
Yeah.
It was big there for a while.
And are we starting to swing the pendulum back a little bit to like the Talkett's and the Patrick Waughs of the world where, hey, it's okay. Come in and rattle the cage a little bit. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I do think that there is sort of a pendulum effect. It's interesting, the Leafs, like they won 2 of their last 3 games here on the road, and it's still just like, the heat never really gets dialed down.
Well, I'm not ready to say it's not warm.
Yeah.
Like they are underachieving. Like I know the roster isn't as good as it's been in years past or whatever, but I think there's something to be said about that. Anyways.
Patrice Bergeron, what is up? Did somebody call him out as, are you coming back to play?
So I don't know where the original ones came from, but he's been seen skating. So
I've heard it too.
Joshua Clipperton, who does a good job for for AP, said he spoke to Patrice Bergeron about the chatter of the comeback because he was spotted skating in the Boston area. He said it's just a weekly gathering of friends and ex-NHLers. Come to our skate. The rumors would go away pretty quickly.
I find that hard to believe.
It's a slow pace, is what he says.
I really find that hard to believe that the guy could still win a Selke and now it's
year.
That's what I love about hockey guys.
Now
we suck. I suck. Yeah. Imagine how good he is at that skate.
Yeah.
I don't know why
good stick.
More players don't push their services like I'm not playing 82, but I'll come back in December.
Yeah, why don't
December after Christmas.
Later, I made a lot of money. I'm 35 years old. I'd like to play the back half of this year. See you guys in a bit. Just be straight up with it. I'd love that.
You're looking at me funny. Do you believe him?
First off, does he live in Boston permanently?
Yeah, I guess.
Well, I can't believe for one second, as competitive as he is, he's not thinking about it.
I think it's funny that he's playing hockey.
I don't think he will, but it doesn't mean that he can't fantasize about it.
Yeah, the fact that he's playing hockey.
Like if you wanted to stay in shape, your career's over or whatever, you've been playing hockey your whole life in cold rinks in January, go for a run, go on vacation and have a cycle in the Dominican. Do something different.
And I think probably because we all kind of talked about how this is going to be a down year for the Bruins, and he probably heard some of that. And now you look at them. Are they at the top of the NHL standings, right near the top of the NHL standings? Hopping on this moving wagon probably wouldn't be the worst thing for him.
Just become their third line center, and he can just take a couple draws, kill some penalties, protect some leads.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? He reminded me something because you're wearing your Vegas Golden Knights hat.
Yeah.
Have we worn a hat yet, me and you, this year?
No, and I think about it at least once a week.
You do?
Because I'm worried about how the Shadows are going to play.
I've got 2 hats in my bag. Can I give you one?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on for a second.
Jesus. I haven't, because some days, you're just tired. It's like, I'm not looking to have a shower today, but you have to.
What kind of hats are these?
I hope it's a fedora. What's I think you should leave fedora?
Oh my God.
Look at this. Look at the side of the hat.
What's it say?
Real Kyper and Bourne on the front and Sammy too on the side.
Oh, I made one more for Disco Dan.
Did you?
Yeah.
This feels like championship hat day. Like
wow,
we just
that is
won.
a really good looking hat.
It's a really good looking hat.
Good job, guys.
And Sammy
thanks
too on the
to
side.
Chris Tamas.
I love it.
With a head apparel.
And Sammy too is incredible. Yeah, I only wear a hat like maybe once a week. Just when I'm not feeling like having a hair day.
Can I get the shot again? Can I just test if I can wear a hat? No, I can't wear a hat.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, you can.
Sammy.
Yeah.
Do you want one?
I would love one. You got one?
Yeah, what color you want?
I like gray. Oh, everybody gets look at this hair. Oh
Not bad.
All right, there you go.
It's the Vegas off.
What do you think of the
team buckets?
What do you think of that? And Sammy too on it.
I really appreciate that. I guess I'll have to put it on back. Oh yeah, love it. Thanks, Kippy. Now we all look like we just won the championship because we got the tags on still.
Yeah.
So there are a few
Leafs
others.
7th place.
We want to remind everybody we're going to go on the road for the first time ever. We're so excited. We're going to be at the Metro Convention Center, and if you come and visit us, maybe we'll raffle a couple off. How's that sound?
Great.
Love that. Throw them to our millions of fans like a t-shirt cannon.
Okay, so Sammy, what did you bring us back from Vegas?
You saw the bag I took, Kip. I didn't have room for my...
he brought a sweatshirt down there.
I didn't have anything to bring back. I didn't have any room. Sorry, boys.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, come on.
Nice.
Give me a break. Well, you want a keychain?
We did talk about going to Vegas as a show once upon a time, and there will be more road trips for the Real Kyper and Bourne show.
It was a really great trip, but like I said, I won't be back down there anytime soon.
No.
I
Once?
Yeah. I don't know what
Seen
else I
it,
could
done
see.
it, bought the T-shirt.
Yeah, I didn't even buy a T-shirt. Just this hat.
That's all you got.
Just this hat. Yep.
All right, so 6 games on tap. Which one? Vegas Winnipeg and Boston. That's the marquee one tonight.
Winnipeg, Boston, 7:00. Kyle Connor has been added to the All-Star game, I believe.
Are we hearing some guys now a little bit? You think we're going to hear a few names drop?
Well,
there's always a few with bumps and bruises.
This was Bedard, and then there was someone else who was unfortunately out of it.
Yeah.
But I imagine you'll have some guys starting to do the old.
Now, Chicago's in Vancouver. You think Bedard made the trip so he can give the car keys to his sister so she quits bugging him on the commercial?
That's too bad for him. He can't play in this one.
Really too bad.
So, Kip, you think he's on the trip? Like, even though he's not playing, like, just go with the team back to your hometown?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I know I would be.
I know when I broke my jaw, I returned home, and it was Thanksgiving, and my mom was...
my God.
I know. My mom's got beef tenderloin with peppercorn gravy on the table, and I'm eating blended whatever we had. So
That's a tough
we tried to blend cheesecake. I know that.
He grew up a Vancouver Canuck fan.
Yeah.
It's killing him right now. He cannot play tonight in his hometown.
I'm sure it's killing the league, though, that he can't be a part of the All-Star weekend. I mean, that's a huge name.
We just got a text. Not one word about the Sens. Would you like a word about the Sens?
Shane Pinto returned. He played his first game, played a little over 14 and a half minutes. The Sens got a win with him in there.
They've won one in a row. Congratulations.
The season is.
Did you see that first goal?
Yes.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
Everybody's looking around and
they've won.
They haven't got a clue where the puck is.
Yeah. Strange goal.
So they've won one in a row. Congratulations.
And talks will grow on Chychrun being out there.
Oh, yeah. You think so?
As a trade. Yeah. Teams are asking, and I don't think the Sens are shy now to listen to offers for Jacob Chychrun.
Curious to see if Pinto extends at some point. Like, now that they got him under contract and back playing, wonder if he gets something done.
What a brutal year for them.
Yeah.
Brutal. I mean, everything's gone wrong after a great start.
The only thing left now is for Jacques Martin to make decisions on who needs to go and who needs to stay, right?
Yeah.
For his ownership group.
Figure it out.
Thanks for the lid, bud.
All right.
Thanks.
My pleasure, guys. Mike Rupp, thank you very much for joining us at the top of the hour. Like we said, 6 games on tap. Pick your game, as we will. And we're right back here tomorrow to do it all over again on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. If you get a chance, please give us a rating and review. We'd love to hear from you. Tell us how silly JB looks in a ball cap. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. Have a great night, everybody.